Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Redevelopment Agency meeting of September 17, 2008 is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2 and are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. The Redevelopment Agency meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the city's website at www.kclv.tv. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m. and also on Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 1 p.m. This building is protected by a state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler system, so should alarms activate, please go out through the exit. You'll be met by our marshal staff, and they'll tell you when it's going to be safe to re-enter the building. We just make this announcement as a matter of course, no reason to expect that would ever take place. We'll go to item number 3, which is approval of the final minutes by reference of the regular Redevelopment Agency meetings of July 16, 2008 and August 6, 2008. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor. No addition or deletion. I make a motion of approval for approval of minutes, please.
All right, thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you. I am all confused here. I'm looking for. Am I in the right seat?
We was all shifted this way. Just come on down this way a little bit. All right. There, you're okay now.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Would the record reflect that my vote was really Councilman Brown's vote? I hope we agree with each other on that one. Good job.
See, he's got 2 down there. See,
oh, this is a little fouled up this morning. Well, that's what happens. Terry's gone, and we're in a state of a mess. Okay. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action to place the Frank Wright Memorial Courtyard plaque in the Fountain Courtyard at the historic 5th Street School located at 401 South 4th Street and establish the courtyard as a place to honor other historians. This is in Ward 3. Mr. Adams.
Good morning. Scott Adams, Operations Officer of the RDA. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, we decommissioned the Frank Wright Plaza as we needed that property for use as staging area for a number of construction projects. But in order to keep Frank Wright's memory alive and continuing forward, we're recommending that the small courtyard inside the 5th Street School, it's an area that's enclosed by the buildings, be named the Frank Wright Memorial Courtyard. I've been told, as a side note, by my staff that Frank Wright was actually involved in getting the 5th Street School listed in the National Register of Historic Places, so that might be an appropriate way to memorialize and continue his name forward. So staff recommends approval of naming that courtyard the Frank Wright Memorial Courtyard.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions of Mr. Adams about that or comments? All right, seeing none, may I have a motion, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I think it's great, and I move to follow staff's recommendation for approval of this item, please.
Very good. Let's vote, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5 is RA 11-2008, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution finding the project proposed by the Commercial Visual Improvement Program agreement between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency and Bernie Smith, located at 1000 North Martin Luther King Boulevard, to be in compliance with and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the redevelopment plan and authorizing the execution of the CVIP agreement by the RDA. This is in Ward 5, and this item is related to Council Item number 58, which will be heard later on. Mr. Adams.
If I could, Your Honor.
Yes.
I just need to disclose the fact that I've known Booker and Mack for a number of years. They're also tonsorial artists, as myself, and I have not talked to either one of them about this project, and I feel comfortable in voting for it, discussing it.
All right, very good. Mr. Adams, please.
This is a visual improvement program request for a small strip center at 1000 North Martin Luther King Boulevard. By reference, I've got on the overhead the site location and the top photo in red. It is immediately north of the site where the new Bank of America branch is being built. And I would like to publicly thank and acknowledge Mr. Burney for his cooperation with us during the redevelopment process of working out the deal with Bank of America. We've had to work out some easements and and issues with the adjacent property owner. He is the adjacent property. He's been very willing and cooperative during that process. I think at the end of the day, between this project and the Bank of America branch, we will have done a phenomenal job in the redevelopment of that entire corner along MLK. So this project consists of just over $100,000, $110,000 of improvements, would be eligible for a grant from the RDA of $50,000. It's to improve his building through paint, color styling, and then in the rear of the property, in the back, he would actually install a new parking facility and landscape that parking facility. So we're taking an existing strip center, improving it, adding parking that would also create a visual improvement, but at the same time improving his functionality of the facility and adding parking to the entire area. So this is one where we greatly recommend approval. It's one that we've been working with Mr. Bernie on for quite some time, and as I said previously, at the end of the day, we're going to end up with a very nice corner as a result of both projects.
Very good. Mr. Bernie.
Yes, good morning. My name is Booker Bernie. I've been in the city for 52 years. I've been a property owner for about 50 of them. I've hired many people over the years. I've made employment for people in the community. I've hired many barbers. Most of the barbers in town, a great number of them, came through my shop when they first come here. So we want to continue to employ people and make employment for people that are coming here, and new barbers and so forth. But we also have other shops that we've built in addition to the barber shop that I ran. So we hope that we can get this project planned. It's costing a lot more money than we thought it would. We started out, we thought it would be about 1/3, but however, it's taken much more and it's much longer also. But we're happy to be able to work with the city, and hopefully the city will work with us on this project. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions of Mr. Adams or Mr. Bernie? I just have this to say. It's a beautiful project, and it'll be a great addition. We have the Bank of America, that's a new building over there. An awful lot of good things are happening. So this is a real important part of that puzzle, and we wish you a lot of luck with this.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion, please? Councilor Barlow?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Just as you stated, Mayor, that this corridor down Martin Luther King is going to be one fabulous corridor, and I want to thank Mr. Booker as well as Mac for a great job that you all have done as far as coming and applying for the Visual Improvement Grant Fund and working with the Office of Business Development. Just for the sake of historical knowledge, this process started actually under Councilman Weekly with the concept of bringing Bank of America across the street to the northeast corner and working with Booker and Mac to assist them in the process of expanding their parking. Due to the widening of Martin Luther King, it had placed a great impact on their business, and so we wanted to make sure that they had access to increase the number of parking spaces that they had, and of course the land was available just to the east of their building. And looking forward to that parking lot to come in with the beautiful landscape on N Street. We're working also to open up N Street as well from the dead end at the north end of N Street to assist with the traffic flow as well in that area. So it has been a long time coming. I'm pleased to see that it is here, and I look forward to the completion. And so for that, I move to follow staff's recommendation for approval of this item.
All right, let's vote on that motion, please. Post? Motion carries. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Item number 6 is stricken.
We need to read it into order.
I'll read it into the record. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. RA 12, 2008, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution authorizing the issuance of City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency tax increment revenue bonds and the execution and delivery of documents relating thereto in an amount not to exceed $195 million in 3 series with the 2008A and 2008B bonds to finance certain capital improvement projects in connection with redevelopment projects in Wards 1, 3, and 5, and 2008C bonds for affordable housing projects pertaining to all wards.
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff asked this to be stricken, please.
All right, that's the motion then. Let's vote on that, please. Post? Motion carries. Thank you. Somebody talking? Okay. Number 7 is report and possible action regarding redevelopment agency projects currently under contract or negotiation, other projects proposed or under construction within or near the redevelopment area, and to provide an overview of programs and initiatives in wards 1, 3, and 5. Stratus.
Okay, this is the most recent in our series of quarterly updates on all of the different activities and projects located within the redevelopment area. This one is a little bit lengthy. I'm going to go through some of these fairly quickly. It's becoming more like an RDA annual report as we move along with this. And I want to get to the end because at the end of this, I've got some excerpts of slides that we presented to a number of the rating agencies and financial investment firms that we've been involved with in the issuance of the RDA bonds. And I think they're important for you to see some of those. Up front, what I'm going to do is summarize exactly where we stand today. We've completed 91 projects in terms of our compilation of a status report. There's 172 projects still either under construction, pending, or planned, and those projects that are, the 172 projects comprise $19.3 billion of pending or planned investment. You asked at the last time I gave this that we start including job data. So what we've done is gone back through our status report and updated all the job information relative to every project that we've been involved in since 2004. Now, in some cases, this is fairly real numbers that we've been able to get from the developer. In other cases, we've done what we believe is a fairly accurate estimate based on the square footage of the building or some aspect of the building that leads us to believe that that level of employment is occurring in the project. So since 2004, we've created about 8,961 construction jobs and over 7,000 permanent jobs. Also, since 2004, we've realized about $2.7 billion in total project valuation in terms of those projects that are complete. So there has been a good track record. At the end of the presentation, you'll see that manifest itself in actual dollars going in the ground that result in tax increment financing. I'm going to start with the Union Park District like I usually do, and if you remember, we recently saw the completion of World Market Center Phase 3. That caps off Phase 1 and Phase 2. We now have 3 buildings together there. With their new 3,600-car parking garage, they now have 5 million square feet of space. I know when they bring their show now, this last show they had, I believe they had somewhere between 50 and 60,000 delegates. So their show, each time they bring it here, now ranks it as one of the larger events or meetings that takes place in Las Vegas, and that's occurring downtown as a result of World Market Center. Their long-term plan is obviously to build out, as we said previously, all phases, 8 buildings for 12 million square feet. And initially their thought was completing this by 2013. I know, we all know the housing and furniture industry is soft now, and whether they'll stay on this timetable remains to be seen, but we will continue to do everything we can to assist this group in realizing their plans. The Las Vegas Premium Outlets have completed their expansion. If you haven't been there, I encourage you to go there. It is a very vital place. It is crawling with people. Every time I've been there, I know it's been very, very busy. The parking garages are full. They've added 104,000 square feet of space. They now have 350,000 square feet total. It's a very upscale center, and they've added 2 new multi-level parking garages to replace the parking that was taken out by their expansion. The Mulaski Corporate Center is complete. That really gives us this new Class A office presence downtown. It is now fully leased. I recently had a conversation with the CEO of the Mulaski companies. They have not a broom closet, and I'm using his quote, there's not a broom closet left in the building to lease out. They have fully leased every bit of space in that building. You've entitled the Grand Central Hotel, which is the old Sandhurst property and some of the railroad property at the south end of the entire Union Park District. This is a 2,500-room hotel. We're optimistic that they have a really strong equity partner behind them as the developer, so we're hoping that as the financial markets start to warm back up, this will be a project that will be realized. This is the overall master plan for Union Park, and I think the notable thing to note here is that we are well underway, and you see that in the lower right-hand picture with the Phase 1 infrastructure improvements for Union Park. That's the roads, the underground utilities, the off-site utilities, all those things necessary to support development on the southern half of Union Park. As we move forward with a bond issue, the rest of the infrastructure for Union Park is included in the proceeds that come out of the RDA bond issue. The Lou Brain Institute is well under construction. We've been, as you know, and you see in the lower right or left-hand picture, that shows the progress of construction. It has slowed down a little bit on the fabrication of the metalwork that is really the famous Gary feature of the project. And one of the reasons it's gotten slower, as we've talked to the folks at Ruvo, is that it is very complicated. Apparently, it's designed here, engineered in Germany, and manufactured in China, and then shipped to the United States. So that's a very slow process to get these pieces on site and then to fit together and form that characteristic Gary design. So that's just an explanation of why it's taken a little bit longer now that they're actually out in the fabrication of that metalwork that's part of the facade and the structure of that building. The Smith Center for the Performing Arts, we are in very, very intense meetings now with the Smith Center to really get all the things moving forward so that they can be under construction, and we're really pushing hard to have this project under construction the first quarter this coming year. At issue right now is a piece of financing they need to put in place, which is about $100 million, which would be in advance of the completion of their fundraising, which is the gap between our rental car bonds and all the funds that they currently have in place. And once that's in place, we're going to be in a position to move forward and work with them to issue all the permits they need to start construction. The World Jewelry Center is in the same mode of out now in the international financing markets to seek their financing. We understand they now have 150 companies committed through LIs to go into the building, and they are value engineering this and doing everything they can do to get this project started with their tentative start date sometime in 2010. The Charlie Palmer Boutique Hotel is in that same position. This is one that is very much tied to the completion or the start and the completion of the Performing Arts Center. This is in the master plan. You see in the lower right-hand corner across from the Performing Arts Center, and they're very much staying close with the progress of that and then timing their development with the development of that. Newland Communities has been working through their planning on their 6 blocks, and this is their first phase sketch of what that's going to look like. If you remember, Rita Brandon was here a few meetings ago that she presented the plans for this in our amendment to their agreement. They're now looking at a takedown of property mid-2009, and which would be by the end of June of 2009, and start a construction within 120 days. Parcel B, we have received a number of proposals as a result of an RFP issued by Newland on behalf of the city. The Merrill Group of companies has been tentatively selected. We're currently in negotiations with Merrill on a deal that would build a very large development with an emphasis on continuing care and senior housing. There would be a strong, obviously, net relationship between that development and the medical development we see in the south end of Union Park. Moving into downtown, we see the Live Work Las Vegas campus here. That's been previously presented to you in their master development agreement. This kind of lays out the components of their master development agreement for their 5-block site, which includes the new City Hall and the new Regional Transportation Commission intermodal terminal. The other end of Live Work on Union Park is parcel PQ, and that would be the development of the Casino Hotel on Union Park. I know they are in active negotiations with a number of gaming operators to be partners with Forest City and Live Work on that development, and all those parts come together in a very, very complicated package of agreements. We've been working with Live Work. This is our update and this quarterly update of where we're at on Live Work, looking at all the options for where we build City Hall parking. We're tentatively looking at the RTC property, the 1-acre parcel across Main Street from where the site is located. By building it there, it would provide not only parking for City Hall, but it could also support parking for Union Park through a crossover of the railroad tracks. We're resolving some of the utility relocations for the Queen of Hearts blocks, in that the City Hall project would be the lead project there. There's a lot of utilities running down the alleys and a whole bunch of work involved in getting all that worked out. And the bottom line is we're in the midst of drafting 13 transaction documents, and this has turned out to be a little bit more substantive in terms of documentation than we thought going in. Our tentative date right now to bring all 13 transaction documents to you is the first meeting in November. And we believe at this level of progress, we're going to meet that schedule and be at you the first meeting of November with 13 documents. If you remember, it's really 3 deals in one. There's a PQ development agreement, there's a Live Work development agreement, and there's a City Hall development agreement, and there's several agreements involved in each of those that put this entire package of projects together. But again, that's about a multi-billion-dollar impact when you look at both ends of the project. At the other end of that deal is if we do move City Hall into the Live Work Las Vegas project, we now have City Hall and 12-acre site next door available for development. And we are now starting to see substantial interest, now that that word's out on the street. Without any RFPs and any advertising, we're getting substantial interest in the development of the City Hall 12-acre site. And I know I've had some conversations with one developer about a very exciting project that I'll be briefing you on, and there may be others as a result of this project, which is the Castman Center project. You approved a memorandum of understanding acting as City Council, where we're now working with the LVCVA in a friendly process to possibly re-enter Cashman Center. We are drafting a request for qualifications or request for RFP document that would solicit proposals from developers interested in the development of the site, and obviously they have to do 2 things in their proposals to really look at how they can get at redeveloping the site. One is figure out what to do and how to relocate the 51's facility, either on-site or off-site, and also how we transition out of the operations of the Cashman Center itself, the convention center that's located on that site, before we can really sink our teeth into redevelopment of that property. I'll just quickly go through our residential projects because we've gone through these a number of times before. Lower Tower is now open with 428 units. The Avenue over on Tonopah, a small boutique residential project near the medical district. Campeche Place has been open for years. It's a affordable housing project. Same with the City Center Apartments. Loctane is another one of those on the boulevard. Newport Loss is now open. They've been selling through their units. And we have a number of residents now living in Newport Loss. Soho Loss is the same way. They're, as I understand, almost sold out. I don't know if there's even a penthouse left there. There may be 1 or 2. Streamline Tower is now complete. They're in their sale process in terms of selling through units. Urban Loss is now in their 2nd development. They've completed their 11th in Carson. They're now in their 2nd at Fremont and Bruce. They're selling through units at that location. Jewel is on the verge of opening. Jewel is just finishing up some touch-up work on their building, their pool deck area, some of their units and exterior work, interior work, and then their public improvements, the half street and the actual public improvements around their project. When that's complete, they'll have a certificate of occupancy issued, and they can start actually closing units. Moving on to entertainment projects, the Fremont East District, the Beauty Bar, again, of course, is complete. Same with the downtown cocktail room, the Griffin. We've seen a new opening of a guitar shop at 516 Fremont Street that really is a complementary use, retail use for an entertainment district. We've been working with the Hive to fill the space. They have a lease executed for the old 7-Eleven space on the corner. They are in the process of attempting to obtain financing. If there's any theme through this quarterly report, it's financing. With everything that's going on in the financial markets, not just the U.S., but the world financial markets, financing has become the issue with redevelopment downtown. So we're now kind of shifting gears with a number of our clients and really working with them in earnest to do what we can do to get them to a point where they can get a financing commitment from whatever source is possible. There's at 517 Fremont, there's a building that Tamris owns that has 3 retail spaces. They've committed a club called Don't Tell Mama to locate in that location. We issued the equivalent of an RFP, stopping short of a formal RFP for 601 Fremont. That deadline for submittal occurred at the end of August. We received 7 proposals. Staff is sorting through those 7 to shortlist to a group of finalists that we would form a committee, a selection committee around, select, and then recommend a selection and development agreement with that selected group to come back to City Council. The venue of Vegas is a project at 760 Fremont in the Entertainment District. It's very similar to a project they built in Scottsdale in the Entertainment District in Scottsdale. They call the venue of Scottsdale. This group had a financing commitment and lost it, and we are now re-engaged with this group to obtain a financing commitment. Again, the financing is the theme of what's going on with a lot of our major projects. Moving over to the block on 3rd Street, we've continued to work with CIM Group on their project. Hennessy's continues to enjoy success. I know they've been concepting their upper floor. They've got a lease on the brass space across from the Pine on the upper floor, and there's some discussion about putting another club in at that level. They've got Mickey Fins in now. The Canyon Club has now got a facade on the side street so that it's more prominently known that it exists within the 4 Queens. Neonopolis, now known as Fremont Square, has been moving forward sort of quietly in terms of doing tenant improvements. The investor that owns that building is putting their own money into tenant improvements to support a number of new tenants to move in, to include the Taste of California, Sushihama, and then there's a number of others. I know Telemundo is close. Well, actually not close. I received a couple days ago a signed lease from Telemundo that they have committed to move in. That's subject to a number of things they're looking for from the city, one of which is parking, another which is some subordination of the lease, our mortgage to the lease, and we're evaluating those issues, and we'll bring those back to you for consideration at an upcoming meeting so that we can do everything we need to do to commit to get Telemundo committed to Fremont Square. Moving into East and West Las Vegas, we just approved a VIP adjacent to this project, which is the new Bank of America branch at MLK in Washington. Sketches on the left, and the actual building that they're almost complete with now is on the right-hand picture. Moving up the street, Enterprise Park. This is just a recap of all the projects that have been developed in Enterprise Park over the last 10 years on the 68 acres that comprise Enterprise Park. Moving quickly through those, Cox is well underway now with the interior improvements and the exterior work needed to get that building in position to move all of their regional offices into that for their regional headquarters. The Expertise School of Beauty continues to enjoy success. The FBI building is another major landmark in the area. The Foundation for an Independent Tomorrow is also in place, and if you've not been in this building, it is absolutely best practices in job training. It is a phenomenal facility in terms of an inclusion in the Enterprise Park and a benefit to the whole area. The RLT Corporation, the McDonald's regional offices and training facility is still there. The Urban Chamber, we're continuing to work with them on trying to get them into the ground. There may be a delay on their groundbreaking that we're working through right now. They've asked for a delay to the first quarter of next year. We're currently evaluating that, and we'll be back to you with something on that. And we do have 2 remaining pads in Enterprise Park that we're now looking at drafting an RFP around for submittal of proposals, one for an interior 7.15 acre site, and then the front site, the 10 acre site, which is a commercial site. Moving over at MLK Bonanza is the Ahern Tower that's been entitled Alpha Omega at North Decatur, the old Wonder World site. Their amended site plan goes to the Planning Commission in October. And, of course, in the RDA bond issue, there is $10 million slated for affordable housing support for this project as well. That is part of a package that should also help get this project financed in what is very trying financing times in terms of real estate financing. The Edmond Town Center will have its grand opening next week for the buy-low market, and we're hoping that the inclusion of the buy-low market will give the whole Edmond Town Center a shot in the arm in terms of new leasing and the filling of their vacant retail space at Edmond Town Center. The Moulin Rouge, I know we've had in the last 2 weeks a number of conversations with them, as well as presentations on the redevelopment of downtown to a number of their investment and prospective financing firms that are looking at financing this project. And I'm personally very optimistic about it. I think it's well located. It's a neighborhood casino with a great regional location, and we're doing everything we can to try to make this project happen. Moving into downtown in the casinos, the El Cortez, I don't have to say anything about what they've done and the commitment they've made to downtown. These pictures all tell 1,000 words in terms of the commitments they've made. The Golden Nugget is in that same category. They have been the flagship downtown in terms of setting the standard for what a high-quality casino downtown can be. Of course, they've started construction on their new tower addition, which would add their new room tower to their current array of both rooms and facilities. The Gold Spike may be another one of those added. I would never thought I'd see the day, because every time I stand on the corner and the door would open and knock you over from the smell of stale smoke, that this project would actually become a boutique casino. But they are well on their way to that becoming that. They are in a 3-phase development program where they are working on the inside right now and doing the interior renovations in 2 phases, and then they'll come outside, do the exterior, and then exterior grounds to put the entire project together and improve that property. As I said previously, we continue to work with CAM and the Lady Luck on their project. We're in the assembly phase where we're working with both the National Park Service and NDOT to perfect our rights to convey the entire property around the post office. And we're well into that process. It's looking good, and we're optimistic we're going to be in a position to convey most of what we've committed under the development agreement. Other projects, the historic 5th Street School is going to open again next week, and you will see a very premier facility here. This is clearly a premier project. The gymnasium is a phenomenal facility in terms of what's been done there, and the overall facility has completely fulfilled all the expectations of creating a cultural center in the middle of downtown. Studio 810, right up the street, is one that received a VIP grant and a good example of how we can make visual improvements in the core of downtown. The Callister Reynolds Law Office is another building, another infill building. These are the kind of things that happen when you get redevelopment going. You start getting this reverberation of impact throughout your downtown without having to put dollars into some of these projects. The Bulldog site's another site that's available for development. We're currently evaluating what direction to move in next in terms of making that available through an RFP process. This is the sketch of the RTC's terminal at the Live Work Las Vegas project. That's going to become part of a whole new transit package downtown that includes the new bus rapid transit system that will connect Union Park through the core downtown to the north end of the Strip, through stations, decorative pavement, new landscaping, really creating the equivalent of a light rail corridor running through the core of downtown. Our Retail Las Vegas program has been very successful. Actually, our staff was in San Diego last week at the ICSC Regional Conference, making contacts with retailers to attract them into downtown. This is all part of a program that work with our ground floor retail space that's part of some of our larger projects to fill that space with new retailers coming into downtown. We do that through incentives, through the VIP program, through market information, and just working with them on expedited review process. An example of that is at Soho Lofts, where a number of new retailers have moved into the ground floor retail space at Soho Lofts, a new gallery and a new salon. This is the excerpt that I talked about at the beginning. Just want to quickly go through a few slides that show you some of the information that we've been providing to financial analysts as part of our RDA bond process that resulted in the RDA receiving a 2-level upgrade in our rating from, I think it was BBB plus to A. We skipped a whole rating level.
Two ratings.
And that puts us in a good position to issue bonds and get the most favorable rate we possibly can. With this, a lot of this information I know Mark Vincent's previously presented to you in terms of graphing where the total assessed valuations occurred downtown, where we've realized a 3-fold increase over the last 5 years in the valuation of downtown. That shows it more vividly in terms of the actual dollar increase. And then this is a pie chart that we're showing. This has been very, very important to the rating agencies, that we're not concentrated in just gaming and hospitality downtown. In fact, I think this is something that's important for the time right now. It shows the composition of the downtown area in terms of the different land uses, and it shows that we've really have diversified the base downtown. Projects like World Market Center, the Factory Mall, and non-gaming projects have created a more diversified both land use and tax base, which creates a more stable situation funding-wise and makes it more attractive to those who want to invest and buy RDA bonds. The other thing that's been very important in that process is that the analysts look at who our top 10 taxpayers are, and they want to see a lesser concentration of your total base in your top 10 taxpayers, and then they look at the composition of those top 10 to determine if they're concentrated in any one single industry. One of the problems in the past has been our top 10 make up most of the tax base. Now the top 10 make up a very small portion of the total tax base downtown, as well as the composition of that is a lot of new non-gaming entities. In fact, the number 1 taxpayer downtown is now the World Market Center, which is non-gaming. And that's a good thing. It previously was the Stratosphere, which was a gaming property, and then you also see Live Work Las Vegas, the Factory Outlet Mall come in and add to that top 10 as non-gaming taxpayers. And then what does it mean? This is the last slide. What it really is, all of this really culminates in the fact that it means we're collecting more tax revenues. Those tax revenues go into the RDA coffers and give us the ability to issue bonds in a level and scale that allow us now to reinvest back into downtown and really keep the engine going. So that's the last slide of the overall presentation, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions of Mr. Adams or any comments? Councilor Ross.
Mr. Adams, did you prepare, this PowerPoint's great, but did you prepare packets for the council members so they actually have this document in their offices should they need?
Not sure if we distribute it. I will be sure that we get a copy of this presentation to each of you.
I appreciate that.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilwoman.
just to place this on the record, as I have in the past, even though Ward 1 is included as being affected by all of these marvelous, really great redevelopment projects, there is not a single inch in Ward 1. And I know, I only do this because I hope that my fellow council members will remember this as time goes on, because this is affecting Ward 1, I feel, in a way that it's losing its vibrancy. There's no way we can do anything to work around the fact that we're not getting any help like this. I know you're trying, but it's not there yet, so I just
Yes.
want it on the record so we keep it in mind.
I will mention for the record that we have looked at including in the bond issue the funding we need to do all the work to expand the RDA, and we are looking extensively right now at expanding the RDA well into Ward 1, especially into some of those commercial corridors that I know you've mentioned to us are important to you and important to the vitality of the ward. We're looking at all of the fringe areas of the RDA for how we can include new areas into the RDA and continue to invest in those areas that are currently transitional areas that maybe are at risk, and continue to keep those as vital areas. The other thing I would mention is that as part of our business retention program, we're one of the last departments to go through Performance Plus. We're in that, and we've formalized a business retention and expansion program within the RDA, and clearly going to be looking at those commercial corridors in Ward 1 as some of those corridors we're going to start in as well.
Thank you. I know you're trying. I'm just trying to keep it as an awareness for everybody. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Barlow.
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Adams for a job well done. Looking at the slide presentation that you just presented, I would say roughly 85%, 90% of those items are in Ward 5, and working with each one of those items is something that will benefit the entire city of Las Vegas as a whole. You mentioned the expansion of the redevelopment area. As we went through our APA conference, one of the line items that came up was expanding the RDA into some of the areas to bring more redevelopment dollars into some of the more depressed areas throughout Ward 5 specifically, and spotted areas within historical West Las Vegas. And so as we talk about the expansion of the redevelopment agency, I want to make sure that we continue to keep the community engaged at the same time, so that we can lay out that expansion in a way that's conducive to all the residents and make it beneficial for the city as a whole, specifically as we talk about bringing more development and more jobs online inside of the Enterprise Park.
Yes, as you know, our staff's been involved and been in the middle of a lot of those activities. We're very well aware of it, and certainly that's part of the evaluation process that we're going through in terms of looking at those areas that we want to include, and then using those efforts as a strategy base for the redevelopment plan ultimately that gets adopted for those areas, should we include those areas. So that's clearly something we're looking at.
Right, and as we're in the process of widening Martin Luther King, that's going to make it more feasible for more commercial development to come down that corridor. And so with that, I want to make sure that we have those boundaries in place, if in fact they're not already in place. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, all I'm asking is for some boundaries. We have nothing out there. I know it's wonderful for everybody. I just ask for some boundaries. I'd like to have a boundary to be able to expand, is what I'm saying. That's all. I won't go into any more. I just want it on the record.
Okay, but I think we're all in favor of that, Councilwoman. I think we all want to see the RDA expanded to Ward 1. It's a terrific tool to encourage progress in a more mature area, and we've used it effectively in the downtown, and I think that it's just an extension. And I know that Mr. Adams and myself talk in terms of extending it into Ward 1. I live in Ward 1. I'd like to see it in Ward 1, and I think it would be value added, so to speak. But the record is very clear as to your position. Okay? All right, Councilor Wilson.
Mayor Goodman, thank you. Scott, if we could go back just quickly to a discussion on 601 Fremont, and I think you kind of explained the process we're going through. We put out the RFP. We received, I think you said, 7 proposals.
Right.
And then you said we're sifting through. I think that's the term
right.
you used. And then we're going to have a committee that's going to evaluate, et cetera. My question is that process a hindrance to a potential developer because of the timing of the process? Versus can we shorten the process, select a developer so that the developer can then get into the market quicker?
Yeah,
maybe it's more advantageous not to do
not
that.
Right now.
So if it turns in 12, 18, 24 months.
Right.
Can you
I don't think it's a hindrance now because of the financial markets, and that what we're seeing, quite frankly, is a lot of real estate firms looking at this as an opportunity to plan their investments and get in a position such that as the economy pulls out, the most profound downturn in the national economy has been in the real estate industry, not in the general economy, because there are parts of the general economy that are doing well. The real estate industry is struggling right now, especially the financing end of that. So I don't know that we're holding it back. I will say this, though. There are development firms that will not do RFPs. They just won't do them. and some very large firms with incredible capabilities. And what we did with this one was not do a formal RFP, but mostly for the reason that we were concerned there might be tenants who have interest in going into the building who couldn't even go into, it just doesn't even work to respond to an RFP with a tenant. So what we're trying to do is create a process that mimics, is close to the formal RFP process that we use without actually being an RFP. And then use a committee to make the selection just like we do under a standard purchasing procedure RFP process. I don't think we're inhibiting in any way interest. We had good interest, 7 proposals, 3 or 4 of those are outstanding in terms of really good proposals, seem to have good financial backing, and I think we'll be in a position to actually make something happen as a result of this process. So in this case, I don't think we are. There are times on larger projects, I'll give you an example, our City Hall and 12-acre site, and I'll probably be briefing you on a project where we could get interest on the part of developers who will not do RFPs. It's our corporate policy not to do that, and they're substantial, and we'll just have to make a value judgment as to whether we believe that a project like that is the best deal we could get had we gone out with an RFP. And that's just one of those things where you kind of weigh it out, and most cases we do RFPs because we want to make sure we got the best deal we can, but in some cases, you know, there will be situations where you have a very unique project, they bring to the table something very unique, and if you want it, that's how you got to get it. And otherwise, they'll move on to some other community with their project and choose another community to build in.
Well, Mayor Goodman, maybe we need to take another look at that corporate policy. You know, maybe it works in most cases, but there's always an exception to every rule, and maybe we need to at least consider altering that policy.
Right.
Well, we do have unsolicited proposals, too.
Yes.
If a company wants to do business with us.
That's correct.
All they have to do is say they want to do a particular project, and we'll evaluate that without the necessity of an RFP.
I will tell you, on the City Hall 12-acre site, one of the unique aspects of a project that could happen there is the fact that it could support development of an arena, and that's a very unique thing. And there are not too many people that work at, when I say people, development firms that work at a scale that can make that happen. And do it and put it all together in a very unique way to make that happen. And so there are instances where that's just the way it works, and I will be very open and honest with you that this is an unsolicited, in those instances, it's an unsolicited proposal, it's substantial, and then we'll make a value judgment as to whether that's in the public's best interest and we're getting the best deal we can get.
Thank you. My comment is this. To me, the efforts that you're making are almost of a mythological proportion, to be quite frank with you. In this very difficult economic time, we push forward as a city. We have a philosophy. We have made a policy decision that we're going to continue our efforts to engage in all of these projects and to assume optimistically that the markets are going to turn around. And I have to give you an awful lot of credit. It's like Sisyphus sometimes. I know that you have that big boulder that you're pushing up the hill, and if you stop pushing it, it's going to come crashing down on your head. So we have to keep on going forward. There are a couple of very interesting things that have happened in the last 2 or 3 weeks in the downtown, which I think the public should know about. We had a meeting yesterday about Symphony Park, which is really going to be the centerpiece of Union Park, the 61 acres on the west side of the railroad tracks, and looks like a very special urban park will be developed there through the auspices of the Reynolds Foundation. They're getting very close to final plans for that. Went over to Binion's, and Terry Caudle has a terrific new bar there with a cigar lounge, a lot of TVs. Papa Joe Chevalier, the national sportscaster and odds maker, has his place of business there. Actually, every afternoon he broadcasts from Binion's and tells the whole world how downtown Las Vegas is the greatest spot. And I have picked, my favorite pick this week was the Chicago Bears -3, so he'll be broadcasting that throughout America and anybody else who's interested in listening to it. And he says if I'm wrong, that'll be the end of me on the show, but I still could go to the bar there, which is nice. And went over to the Golden Nugget, and downtown Gordy Brown, who is a strip attraction, is going to come downtown. He's going to be performing in a room that will be named after him, 500 seats. They tell me they're going to be spending $500 million on their redevelopment there. Beautiful hotel. And the Ogden House is going up. That's going to be a boutique hotel associated with the El Cortez. So I think the momentum is there, and notwithstanding the markets, I think we have to push forward, and I really commend you on the job that OBD is doing with the whole staff. It's not just you. It's every single department. City Attorney's Office has to draw up these agreements. We've got Public Works, who has to work in participation. I could go right down the list. The Marshal's Office, making downtown safe. All of those things fit together in order to accomplish the vision and the dream. So I think it's great.
I think one of the things to recognize right now, and we've looked at this strategically within the Office of Business Development, is that the national and international financing markets are, quite frankly, in a state of disarray. It's obvious. Anybody pick up the newspaper and read what's going on with Lehman Brothers and Merrill Lynch and AIG. You realize that the bedrock of New York and our financial institutions are shaky right now. But so at that time, in order to keep momentum going, I think we have some things that we can present to the investment community to show that momentum will continue to move forward. And that's the public investment in the post office, in the conversion of it to a mob museum, the public investment at Union Park, and the development of the infrastructure to show that we're still maintaining our commitment to see that project through, the public investment in things like the Regional Transportation Commission's intermodal terminal, possibly a new city hall, the Performing Arts Center. All these are institutional investments that are not necessarily tied to the private financing markets that are struggling right now. And so if we can keep that momentum going during this trying time over the next 12, 18, whatever number of months it is, that will keep our momentum going while the private sector kind of gets their act together and then comes back out of what's going on right now.
All right, thank you very much. May I have a motion, please? I guess, Councilor Wilson, why don't you make the motion?
The motion is to accept the report from Mr. Adams. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
That's right. Okay, this is item number 8, citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Redevelopment Agency, and no subject may be acted upon by the Redevelopment Agency unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come up to the podium and give us your name, and we'll put the 3-minute timer on. Councilwoman, it's a pleasure having you here.
Good morning, and thank you.
I would like to say this to you before you begin. For the first time, at least I can represent for at least 3 of the council, and probably for all of the council, but I know for 3 of us, Councilor Wilson, Councilman Brown, and myself, during our briefing yesterday in anticipation of the meeting here today, we were advised that there was an issue concerning access between what is known as the historic West Side and the Union Park part of the community. It caught us off guard. We did not realize that there was an issue. We didn't realize there was a problem. We certainly would not allow a situation to exist without being rectified, which would preclude the entire community from being accessible to each part of it.
Okay.
What I would like to do, I'm going to certainly hear what you have to say, but what I would like to do is ask you to make the remarks rather brief so we have the opportunity to check into exactly what created this situation, and then we could take steps in order to address it. As I said, maybe I should have been aware of it, and maybe the other council people should have been aware of it. I don't think we were, and we didn't hear about it until late afternoon yesterday. I haven't had a chance to be briefed by Councilman Barlow on it yet, so with that in mind, I'm going to put the 3-minute timer on. Be happy to hear from you, but really, we won't be able to get into it until we educate ourselves
Okay.
as to how to address it.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And I have prepared remarks so that I won't go over your time limit.
Thank
My
you.
name is Brenda Williams, former interim city woman from Ward 5 and a resident of Las Vegas, Nevada, all of my life, as a matter of fact. I appear before you today, Mayor Goodman and council people, to register my disapproval of a decision that will negatively impact residents of Ward 5, specifically those of us who live on the west side. The cordoning off of F Street north off Bonanza, the most direct route to the center of the west side, by building a cul-de-sac, is tantamount to building a wall that isolates our community from the progress and prosperity of the downtown redevelopment area. In contrast now, we have F Street south off Bonanza, now called City Parkway, is an impressive, inviting gateway to the multi-billion-dollar Union Park redevelopment area. Last year, in participation with the Neighborhood Services, I and more than 40 community stakeholders spent many hours in preparation for the National Planning Association Conference here in Las Vegas. We spent a full day with planners from all over the country exploring ideas to revitalize the west side and bring economic development to our community. F Street was considered an optimum opportunity to bring connectivity to our community and the 61 acres. None of us had any idea of any plans that were in the works to close off F Street. We are aware that the city of Las Vegas is a world-class destination, a city with a powerful image of opulence and success. However, the image of our community is a negative and unwelcoming one. We live in a community cordoned off by freeways, underpass, railroads, barbed wire, and now a cul-de-sac. These are depressing images we live in on a daily basis, yet we hold out our hope that our elected officials will act in our best interest and that someone is interested in knowing our visions for economic development and revitalization of the community. Just when we thought things were going to improve, we find ourselves facing more of the same policies and practices that have kept us disfranchised from the wealth of the city. Building another wall or cul-de-sac is not what we envision. Making decisions without the community's input in the 21st century simply is not considered moving forward. In 1987, President Ronald Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down that wall. We're simply asking you not to allow anyone to build that wall to keep us away from progress. I strongly oppose any decisions to cut off any roads that would lead to progress in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to be heard?
Good morning, Your Honor, and City Council persons. My name is Catherine Duncan, and I represent the Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce. We're at 1044 North Rancho in Uptown, Las Vegas. I live uptown, and when I was traveling downtown, I noticed that the sign on F Street was going to be closed on September 7th. I'm going to give you maybe 2 minutes of history and then make a recommendation. Historically, cities across America have used freeways and railways to separate black people from all other people. Traditionally, the world has built these walls, the Great Wall of China and the Berlin Wall, for example. Las Vegas is no exception here. Las Vegas has a history of utilizing walls to keep people in. Black people were not allowed to cross the track or cross the concrete curtain without work cards until about 40 years ago here in Las Vegas. Ethel Pearson fought to keep the gates of our community accessible in 1964. In the late 1960s, the Nevada National Guard cordoned off this community for no apparent reason, which created hardship for everybody. During the Rodney King incident, the community was completely isolated and Nevada Power shut off the lights. While we're celebrating the walls around the world being torn down, why is Las Vegas still building walls? Your Honor, I had the distinct honor of serving with the City of Las Vegas Arts Commission for 8 years. During those 8 years, we held countless meetings with the Nevada Department of Transportation and the city's Public Works Department regarding these negative, deplorable, hideous underpass systems as it relates to the west side, the I-15 and the I-95. It was then mandated by a committee that was chaired by Frankie Sue Del Papa that these freeways were to be improved, that the people who actually live in the community would have an opportunity to participate in certain enhancement projects that were designed to mitigate the negative effects of the freeway system. Not only have we been denied access to the beautification and the planning process, but the F Street closure was totally to the surprise of the community and not for our benefit. I, this week, have spoken with the Las Vegas Black Historical Society, the NAACP, the 100 Black Men Organization, the Moulin Rouge, the owners of the Newtown Tavern, and none of these organizations or businesses had any knowledge of this action. In conclusion, the Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce encourages you to join us in establishing a task force immediately, or a commission, or whatever it's going to take, so that we can discover exactly the reason why the street is closing. We need to share this information with the community. We need to alleviate the negative impact of this action on the residents, and we need to alleviate the negative impact of this action on the business community. And to assist us with our mission is for you to help us create an uptown Las Vegas that will become a culturally diverse and unique tourist destination for all of Las Vegas and the world to enjoy. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I said that, but
good morning to each and every one of you. To the Honorable...
please identify yourself for the record, Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to do it at the end, but the beginning as always. My name is Gene Collins, and I live at 1101 Eleanor Avenue, and I've been in this community just about all of my life. Also, I'm a former state assemblyman. I'm a former president of the NAACP. I now hold the regional director for the Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network. To the Honorable Mayor and the councilmen, and I will keep mine very brief because the prior speakers, and you have admitted, Mayor, that you were unaware of what was going on. So therefore, I'm going to hold my comments until you all look into that, and I just want to compliment you for saying that you are going to look into what the problems that arose a few days ago to your knowledge. Some 45 or 46 years ago, and I'm not going to read my prepared statement, we was at the same roadblocks in the road. The community was closed off when the freeway was in. The only two entrance and exits was Highland and Orange Street. So we are here back today, 45 or 46 years later, fighting the same battles that we fought some previous years ago. So I spoke with our councilman, Barlow, and I won't go into that. I spoke with Commissioner Weekly, and I will just hold my comments after speaking to both of those individuals. But you have given us the assurance that you're going to look into it, you and the rest of the council, men and women, and I really appreciate your thoughtness looking into this. But I want to go on the record and say we're opposed to any cul-de-sac, any closing of F Street whatsoever, and thank you.
And I appreciate that. I gave you my word that I would look into it, and I will be standing by anybody's side to make sure that people aren't going to be precluded from enjoying the entire community.
Thank you again.
That's my word.
Good morning, Mayor, City Council. For the record, my name is Anthony Stoughton. Yes, I want to appreciate you, Mayor, for actually bringing this issue to the forefront and giving us your promise that you'll actually look into this issue. But in looking into the issue, we have to talk about the policy of the City Council. And in terms of them notification of residents and businesses that's going to be in 1,000 feet of proposed project, and since this is a public works project and it's going to close off a street, then there's a requirement that they bring that issue to the public for public comment before any plan is acted on. And for some reason that didn't happen. I want to make sure that all the process that's in place for the city to make sure the residents are informed, they're advised and able to participate in any decisions being made, are actually implemented, and hold the city staff and those people in those positions that need to come to the public accountable, responsible for that. Because I think that a lot of times that what we have is like a failure to communicate, and communication is going to be the key to solving any type of issues that go on with us in the community, and as far as economic development and closing off streets and that sort of thing. But in any event, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you looking into the issue, and I'll be in concert with your office next week sometime about some other issues that I have pending. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody else like to be heard?
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. My name is Bill High. I live inside Bonanza Village. I'm a community activist. I'm a member of the 100 Black Men Board of Directors. I'm appalled that the city councilman can go forward and make this type of presentation without just having notice to the community. I believe that anytime there's a requirement to change the city streets and put in cul-de-sac, those of us who live in the community should be notified, and there should be open discussion. I endorse the comments of the earlier speakers regarding their feelings of the community regarding this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to be heard?
You know what? My name is Beatrice Turner of West Las Vegas, and I have been here many a years fighting issues in my community. But after I heard this, to close, to make cul-de-sacs, to close off our streets, to keep us from having businesses and things to come into our community, and no hearing, no meeting, no nothing was ever held with our community. You know, I remember when Michael Mack told me, he said, you know what, Beatrice, you need to get on because you don't know what's on the books for your community. He said, you need to go on, move on while you can. When I had the opportunity to move in Larry Brown's ward, and I said, no, I would rather fight than switch. But you know what, Larry Brown, I hate to this day that I did not get that Penske truck and put on the side of it, thank God, on free at last, I'm getting up out of here. But I chose to stay in this community because this is where I was born. And for people not to, our elected officials not to even come to us and tell us what's going on, and then sit back like it's okay. It is not okay for our community to be treated in this manner and not bring us the information and give us the right to say what we want in our community, just like Councilman the grocery store. When those other people brought their paperwork talking about wanting the grocery store, everybody was there to sit there and hear what they had to say. But when by-law came about, we wasn't even treated in the same respect to even ask no question. It went on as usual. But you know what? And I want to say to you, Oscar, I told you, you need to get my home in order. Down there at that Woodlawn Cemetery, it's a disaster. But you know what? I already signed the papers, and I told my daughter, these are your marching orders. If that cemetery ain't been fixed up, you make sure when you cremate me, you hold, if the new city hall, if it's before I'm gone, that city hall is built, the day they lay the foundation on the new city hall, you make sure you scatter my ashes right there before they lay the cement the next day. And you, Oscar, see, I know your neighborhood gonna stay lovely. I know you're not gonna let your neighborhood go down because you've been there too long. So the same way your front yard look, that's how mine's look. So that's why when I leave here, I'm gonna spend my time in your front yard.
Okay, I thought that's where your ashes were going to go.
In yours.
Right. Anybody else? All right, meeting's adjourned. 5-minute recess.
Oscar, I just wanted to ask.
I didn't know anything about it until yesterday. All set? All right, at this time, I'm opening the Redevelopment Agency meeting, and I'm recognizing Councilman Barlow, please.
Yes, Mayor. Just to establish a record, if you will, and I don't want to leave this in the air with a question mark. When it was brought to my attention, I assembled a few members of the community to get their input and to also encourage them to come here to speak on the record in regards to this very important item as it pertained to this community in which I represent, Ward 5. And I, too, was just as surprised to know that it's not only F Street, Mayor and Council, that we're talking about. We're talking about D Street as well, that has a cul-de-sac in its design. And so for that, I appreciate you opening the meeting back up to at least allow me to establish a few more comments, but also to express the importance and the need for us to address this item formally so that we can find out what we can do at this point in order to open the streets back up. Because during the APA conference in which I held earlier this spring, the community prior to that was fairly disenfranchised. And having an opportunity to pull these community members together and really get them on the same page and really establish a vision as it pertains to historical West Las Vegas, I believe that we were able to accomplish that. And now moving forward, and this item popping up on our radar, something that took place before I sat in this seat. And it's not to point any fingers at anyone, but this was just something that I didn't even know about. And so for that, I stand with the community, I stand with this council to find out what in fact we can do to open the streets back up, because the last thing that I want to do is close off a community that's in need of redevelopment. We've just had a great presentation from Scott Adams as far as all of the development that's taking place in this community, and what I'm looking to do is continue that redevelopment all throughout the areas in which that are in need within the redevelopment zone. So with that, Mayor, I just wanted to at least establish that record and encourage the residents to remain united, to remain steadfast in your belief in our position as we move this ward forward, to change the image that one of the speakers had mentioned as far as having this negative imagery. I'm here to basically bring back some pride, bring back developments, bring back beautification, bring back the much needed infrastructure that this community needs, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And so I want to thank each and every one that came here to speak before this council today, and to say, let's stick together, let's stay together, and let's build together. So with that, Mayor, I would like to turn the microphone back over to you and just thank you also for allowing me the opportunity to at least establish my comments on the record as well.
All right, meeting adjourned.